Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Pyoter Bagration, the Tier 7 Premium Russian cruiser. Now, after the Pyoter had received the buffs to the main battery reload and given the radar consumable, I am quickly enjoying this cruiser more so than the Riga. I think where the Riga falls short is the main battery accuracy. The Pyoter just simply has such good accuracy and can easily delete cruisers, basically what you were looking for in Tallinn, and then going to the Riga's main battery accuracy made it feel like it was lacking, and well, the Pyoter definitely does not feel like it is lacking in any sort of way now. I think the only place that Riga still outshines the Pyoter is with its armor and the main battery's armor piercing penetration, because with the Riga you can set it out Yamatos at about 7 kilometers, whereas the Pyoter, I'm not actually sure if you can, but if you were to, I would imagine you have to be extremely close to the Yamato, which really, if you're that close, you might as well use the Pyoter's torpedoes. Now here we spot the Fletcher, and we can make use of the newly added consumable, and well, the Fletcher's engine is out, so he will not be able to accelerate away, and we will definitely be able to kill him off. The Riga in the same situation would still be reloading and may not have even actually killed off the Fletcher. This Nelson pokes his nose around the corner a little too far, and I do switch to AP, and well, you can just see that the Pyoter is definitely able to chunk battleships for a lot of HP if they are giving any sort of broadside. I'm not sure if the Riga would actually be citadeling the Nelson here, but considering that the Pyoter is still chunking him for quite a bit of HP, I don't think it would really make that much of a difference, especially since the Pyoter reloads so much faster than the Riga. And just like that, we've pretty much made the Nelson half health. He does end up popping his super heal, but the main point is that the AP on the Pyoter is just so extremely effective. The Nelson does reverse behind the island, so I am thinking about taking this opportunity to push forward and try to make use of the Fletcher smoke. There is also an enemy Suzuya out there at the island on the border of the map, so I am trying to be very careful and trying not to push in and simply being farmed, especially since Suzuya HE can pen our 25mm hull. The Nelson does get spotted behind the island, and he does not have any shot at me, so I do start pushing forward. Now as I move forward, I take a look at the map, and I can see that the enemy team from the other side is actually starting to push in towards the middle of the map and coming closer to this flank. So pushing in might not actually be a very good idea. So I do start turning to the right, and I'm going to try and create as much distance as I can from the enemy battleships that is pushing over from the other flank. As I'm pushing in, I do spot the enemy mines that has been kiting at the back of the map, and he does start coming back in with AP loaded, and him turning broadside, I do take a shot, and we do end up getting a citadel. My guns reload extremely quickly, so I'm able to send a follow-up shot so fast. Unfortunately, that salvo was not able to get any citadels, and now we start disengaging because the last thing we want is for this mines and then the Suzuya to be farming us and basically melting us from all of our HP. I stop shooting. I do pop a radar to see if I can spot the Suzuya and possibly lob him over the island, but unfortunately he is too close, and well, you saw the island icon, so we won't actually be able to hit him. So I simply hold my shot, because if I shot again, then I would simply be spotted much longer than I wanted to. Now with nothing spotting me, I am going to push towards the enemy Suzuya that is behind the island. The enemy Nelson and enemy mines are so far away from the Suzuya, they won't really be able to help him when I push around this corner. Also, my teammates on the other flank are pushing and taking a lot of the enemy team's attention, so I don't have to really worry about this Suzuya having any sort of help. This part of the game may seem familiar to some of you, as I did post a short video of this situation here. So this enemy Suzuya is behind the island, and we are trying to push him. We do end up spotting him behind the island for a split second here. There he is, and he is sailing very slowly broadside. We take a shot just as he goes unspotted, and we do get a triple citadel. The Suzuya starts turning out and launches some torpedoes, as you do in IJN cruisers. Now this is where the special thing happens. So we take advantage of an overlooked mechanic in this game, which is how shells interact with armor and essentially can ricochet and still end up citadeling a ship. So what I'm doing here is shooting the Suzuya from behind and aiming for the funnel. If you go to basically port and look at any of the Japanese cruisers at higher tiers, you can see that the funnel has a odd shape, and what's happening here is my shell is penetrating the back of the funnel. These 180mm guns need 30mm to arm, and since the superstructure of cruisers are not 30mm, the shell does not actually arm, and what ends up happening is the shell ricochets off the roof of the interior funnel and then ricochets down into the citadel, where the citadel deck is thick enough to arm the Pyoter's AP, and thus I am getting citadels by shooting the funnel of these IGN ships. This is essentially why you do see some random citadels, especially if you're in a battleship and you get citadel through the bow. What's happening is the shells from, let's say, another battleship hit the front of your turret and somehow ricochet down into your citadel. But basically, it's not really a bug, but just more of an overlooked mechanic that I don't think was really thought out. Now the question is, if you shoot the hull of a battleship, can your shell ricochet on the outside and then hit another ship? Well, we will have to wait and see and try to test that in training rooms. Now there are a bunch of other IGN ships essentially at high tiers that you can citadel through the funnel. You can citadel the Yamato, the Amagi, the Ibuki, basically any of the Japanese ships that have that oddly shaped funnel. You can citadel from the back and have your shell ricochet down into the citadel. Now, pushing in after killing off that Suzuya, well, you can see just how squishy this ship is compared to the Riga. However, the accuracy and the DPM of the Pyoter, I think, are a pretty good trade-off in terms of this ship versus the Riga, and I think I do prefer the Pyoter and its accuracy and DPM over the Riga and its armor, and essentially being extremely tanky. We end up killing off the enemy Nelson, and the enemy Mainz is the last ship. However, this game is pretty much over as we are winning on points at this point. But yeah, I definitely do think the Pyoter, at least for me, is much better than the Riga because the main guns are more reliable and can simply pump out so much damage. Also, this game was a good example of how to citadel IGN ships, and I was doing it pretty consistently at close range. The further away you go, the more difficult it is to do. 4 kills, 3500 base XP, 137,000 damage. Kind of a average game, but still very good base XP. The build I use is Nikolai Kuznetsov, and I have an accuracy and AP damage build, since this is the same build I use on my my Stalingrad. Our concealment is just short of being able to stealth radar, so I do mess around with Gunichi Mikawa. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, or leave a comment down below for any other ships you want to see in the future. But until next time. Aloha.